was the last time your friend laughed at you for trying to become pious? When was the last time you went to a club, you went to a bar, a cinema, anywhere else where there was a possibility that you could get up to no good, be it drugs, alcohol, women, gambling, or whatever else? When was the last time you had a conversation which involved swearing? Maybe on the way to the masjid today. When was the last time you spoke ill of your friends? When was the last time you backbited him, slandered him, or physically hurt him? When you think of all these things and all these questions I put to you, no doubt most of us have realized that our company is bad. We are bad. Our friends should remind us of the hereafter. But unfortunately, our states are such that our company is making us head towards the fire of hell. So these people are not your friends, my dear brothers. They're your foes. They're your enemies. And I'm telling you from my life experiences that you don't need friends like these. What benefit can these so-called friends give you? I'll ask you another question. If someone passed away from your family, if your father passes away today, these so-called friends of yours, will they be able to help you wash your father's body? Tell me, will Saj, or whatever his name is, will Ifti, or whatever he is, will he be able to bury your father? Will he be able to help you bury your deceased father? Will he be able to recite Fatiha with the correct pronunciation? I ask you, if you die today, will your best friend, your sangi, your sajan, your dost, will he remember where your grave is in 6 months? I don't think they will. Because these kind of so-called friends, they're good for 3 things at a time like this. When you die, these friends, they're good for 3 things in my opinion. 1, to move the sofas in your house so people can come to the puri and pray the Fatiha. That's what they're good for. Because physically they are able to do this. They can move the sofas, they can make space in your front room and put the sign of men's Fatiha in this house. Number 2, when the guests or the people who come to pay their respects come from far and wide and they need feeding, these people are good for serving at the khatam. These are your friends. Tell me if I'm wrong. And the third thing, which is an international problem, the social media or social malaria as I call it, or telephonia, this problem we have where we are addicted to the internet. If you pass away today, apart from hashtag gone and never forgotten, what else are these so-called good friends of yours can benefit you in? What else can they do for you at the time of death? These are your friends. Get out of here. These are your friends. The worst thing about it, it's our own fault. You can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. So you have chosen somewhere down the line to hang around with these so-called friends of yours. You have friends, no doubt, who smoke drugs. You sit with them. You knew when they were doing drugs it's wrong, but you still chose to be their friend. You have friends who might drink alcohol. You knew it was wrong, yet you choose to be their friends. You have friends who gamble. You know it's wrong, but you choose their friendship. You have friends who have girlfriends, yes, yet you still want to stay with them. You know it's wrong when it's namaz time and your friends are walking past the masjid hoping a namazi doesn't say, brother, come in, it's namaz time. It was wrong for you to stay with such friends. But you yourself has decided that this is going to be my friend. And then what happens? Then over time, your dress sense starts to change. Over time, your attitude starts to change. Over time, how you address your parents starts to change. Over time, you become one of those who comes home late, to the extent that today, our parents are scared to see what mood we're in before they ask us a question, before they approach us, because they don't know what kind of response we're going to get from them. How shameful. This is the state, unfortunately, a lot of us are in. One thing we got to remember, my dear brothers, someone who's not loyal to Allah Azza wa Jal, someone who disobeys Allah Azza wa Jal, to the extent where he gambles, he misses his namaz, he disobeys his parents, he drinks alcohol, has a foul mouth, in the habit of swearing and backbiting. If someone has all these, if someone is in the habit of committing all these sins, if he's not loyal to Allah Azza wa Jal, then how can he be faithful to you? How can he be a friend to you? Do you not get it? We need to get away from these so-called friends. We need to make some real friends. I'm not saying delete their number. Your friends who don't read their namaz or commit major sin after major sin, I'm not saying to you delete their number, no. What I'm saying to you is that whenever you see them, talk about the deen. Whenever you see these friends of yours, talk about, let's go to the masjid, talk about how we need to learn the Quran with correct pronunciation, talk to them about traveling on Dawat-e-Islami's Madni Kafla, talk to them about watching the Madni Muzakras on Saturdays, and talk to them about attending the weekly Thursday Ijtimas of Dawat-e-Islami. If you do this, according to Imam Azam Abu Hanifa radiyallahu ta'ala, he says that whenever people are in your company, talk about religion. Whoever has interest in religion will benefit from you, and those who are not interested will leave your company without falling out from you. Because this is a big obstacle, it's a hurdle. Sometimes, we try to change our life and want to be pious, but we can't let go of them friends who are holding us back. And we think to ourselves, look, we can't cut off from them completely. Or we can't say to them, don't hang around with us, they might get offended. Don't do this. Take the advice of Imam Azam and talk to them about religion when you're in their presence. When they're in your company, talk about the deen. Two things will happen. Either they will be paying interest and they'll enjoy your company, or they will leave you without falling out. The main word here, without falling out with you. They will leave you. And this is a trial and tested method. Believe it or not, there was a time when I was roaming the streets around here. It's quite a local area for me. And I used to think I'm the coolest guy in my gang. I used to think that the world revolves around me. But then I realized cool is that person who lives his life in such a way that he stays away from the burning fire of hell in the hereafter and stays cool over there. That is a cool person. So what did I do? I started working towards this, and I'm sorry to say that 90, even 95% of my friends left me. And I had about a good 30 people, yes, I was pretty popular. I had about 30, 35 people who I used to class as my friends. And from them, there's only one or two who are left. One of them is a security guard I just noticed here today, but one or two friends I've only got left. Why is this? Why did they leave me? When I pondered over this and I reflected, it's because I grew a beard. I grew a beard and I would dress in white and I'd wear the imamah sharif. Because I spent a little bit more time in the masjid, I became an inconvenience to them. Slowly but surely, they all faded through. Why am I telling you this? Because when you make this intention to change your life, you will come across these obstacles. Your friends, they will start to leave you. Before we go any further, please try to come closer. There's quite a few brothers at the back who are looking for somewhere to sit. Try to come closer.
صلوا على الحبيب صلى الله تعالى على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم. इस्लामी भाई आस्था इस्लाम के साथ इस्लामी भाई को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। आप इस एक ही बात अगर आपके आज जो बात रखना नहीं पड़ेगा, थोड़ा इस तरह से माशाअल्लाह। सल्लु अलल हबीब सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि।
Try to concentrate. Try to pay attention. I was saying, when you to your life, you lead with intention, these bridges. When you mind your good old friends to give you change life. And I was saying, she all faded, and I thought I was the leader of the pack. And most of them today, Most of my so-called friends today, unfortunately, they're in such a state that today when it comes to deen, that when someone passes away from my family, they can move them sofas to one side, they can pray, serve at the khatam, but that's all. That's all they're good for. And if I be honest with you, I don't like spending time with those brothers anymore. Why? Because I genuinely believe they are cramping my style. You know, we have this sort, we have this mindset that, oh, when we look religious, and the so-called modern person doesn't want to hang around with you because they're embarrassed of you. No. We should be embarrassed to hang around with men who don't have no hair on their face. We should be embarrassed to hang around with men who don't follow the sunnah of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. So I was saying, now they are cramping my style. I'm dressed in cotton, tailor-made white suit with a crisp finish with itar on what's worth 12 pounds for a few milliliters. And I'm wearing a turban, an imamah sharif, like the Sultan of both worlds, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, on my head. And religious people, wherever I go, they give me salam and they do dua for me. Now I'm walking the streets and I am now the boss. When I thought I was the boss, no, now I'm the boss. And no doubt I am living the dream, and so can you, my brothers. So can you. How? I hear you say, okay, I leave my friends. I leave my friends. But who shall I sit with? Who shall I chill with? Oh, my fellow Islami Bais, Attaris, if the brothers here who are willing to change, they want good company, they want company of those who offer their namaz, they want company of those who can teach them the Quran or Qaeda, or they want the company of those who they can just have somebody to talk to or stay in the company of. If you are one of those brothers who will help and put your madni chadar over them to overcome the shaitan, then I want you to put your hands up. If you are the Islamic brothers who are willing to help the youngsters today, put your hands up. All you Islamic boys who are willing to help the brothers who are struggling, put your hands up. And I want the rest of you to take note of this. All the brothers from your Zeli halkas, from your towns and cities, I want you to pester them. You know, some might say, yeah, inshallah, I'll help you, you might not see them. You need to pester them. Look, if you're thirsty, you go to the tap. If you're thirsty, you go to the well. If you really want to change, you need to change. You need to physically make that approach. You need to take that step. And you need to pester these Islamic boys and say, look, I'm here. Labbaik, I'm here. I'm present. Help me. Tell me what I need to do. Teach me the Quran. Teach me how to pray in the masjid. Spend time with me. Inshallah, Azza wa Jal, once you do this, then you will see the change. And these are your new friends. My dear brothers, make these your friends as well. Moving on to company. The Sufiyai Kiram, the friends and company, they go hand in hand. So I want to talk a little bit about company as well. The pious predecessors, they say that good company is greater than all worship. The Sahaba Kiram, alayhi Ridwan, they're greater than all the waliullahs, the awliya, alayhi rahma. Why? Because they had the blessed company of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. Siddiq Akbar, radiyallahu ta'ala, and after all the Anbiya, they are the best from mankind. Why? Who's his best friend? The Holy Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So his company made him the best after all the prophets. Now if somebody was to attach themselves to such an environment which inspires and motivates to do good actions and forbids evil, an environment which teaches the commands of the Holy Quran and the beautiful Sunnah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, then not only would that person's zahir and batin be perfumed, his body will remain fresh and fragrant even after he dies. Even the earth and the clay touching his body will become fragrant. Big statement, I hear you say. The author of Dalailul Khairat Sharif, Hazrat Allama Muhammad bin Sulaiman Jazuli alayhi rahma, he was not only part of a good environment, he created a good environment. He had over 500,000 murids. He passed away in the year 870 Hijri, 1449. 77 years after he passed away, his body was moved to Marrakesh in Morocco. When the grave was opened, a sweet fragrance shot out and filled the air, and the whole area became fragrant. And with the eyes of the people who witnessed this, they said not only his blessed body, but also the shroud was fresh and still intact. Even till this day, those people who have been there, they'll say the fragrance still emanates from their blessed tomb. Now, I'll mention an incident more closer to our time. 1416 Hijri, in Markaz al-Awliya, Lahore, the enemies of Islam, they launched an act of terrorism on Amir al-Sunnah Damat Barakatum Aliyah. And two preached, two colleagues of Dawat Islami, Muhammad Sajjad Atari and Al-Haj Muhammad Uhud Raza Atari, they got caught up and they became shaheed. Both of these martyrs were buried in the grave in Lahore, graveyard in Lahore. 8 months after the burial, severe rains hit, and due to this, the relatives they decided that the body should be moved to another location, whose Uhud Raza Atari's. In the presence of many people, when the earth was removed and the sill towards the side of the head was removed, a sweet fragrance shot out and filled the atmosphere.